Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net.
XGGA 835-3100, spot entitled Leather /Geico /Reason /Motorcycle 30 seconds.
Geico knows there are many reasons why you ride. From the exciting adventure of the daily commute to the peace of mind that Geico always has your back with 24/7 access to claim service and legendary customer service. But Pamela Mund had one reason in particular.
My skin is extremely averse to most fabrics, except for the soft, buttery feeling of leather. Thankfully, I found my clan of leather lovers in the biking community. It's been life-changing.
Geico Motorcycle. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
There's a new Home Depot now open on Maurice Avenue in Maspeth. And as home improvement projects go, this is a big one. Use the product locator on our app for an in-store map to find what you need fast. And check out our new pickup lockers. They make online shopping a breeze. Of course, one thing's not new, our everyday low prices. The Home Depot, now open near Maurice Avenue and Long Island Expressway in Maspeth. And always open at HomeDepot.com. The Home Depot, how doers get more done.
Christopher Media. Let's make some noise. From Asthmacore Studios near Detroit, Michigan.
Oh, man.
It's the Weedsman Podcast.
I have no idea what's going on.
And now,
you have smoked yourself retarded.
here are the Weedsmen.
You want to get high?
It's 2:39. I'm Chris.
I'm Aaron.
It's 2019.
We're back for another year.
Welcome.
Welcome back to the Weedsman Podcast.
Oh, what a crazy New Year's it was. Oh, I'm so hungover. Oh, man.
We're a little ahead of schedule.
I wore a lampshade on my head.
We haven't seen the New Year pass yet, but we did have Christmas. I trust how was your Christmas? About as well as can be expected?
Spent mine in bed because I was sick.
Well, I guess worse then, huh?
I got the flu for Christmas.
Damn.
But how was yours?
I was all right. You know, honestly, I'm ready to go back to work. I had my days mixed up. I thought I was going back on Tuesday. Wait, is that the second?
No, the second's Wednesday. That's when
I thought back. I was, yeah.
Go back on Tuesday, you'd be lonely. That's New Year's Day.
Right, nobody's going back New Year's Day. I thought I was going back Tuesday, and then I'm going back Wednesday. I'm like, I got to figure out what to do with myself for another day.
We got Netflix, right? You can find something to do for a day.
Yeah, I'm sure there's something that's worth binging. Although lately I've been all about the Amazon Prime.
Why is that?
Homecoming, which would be the new project from Sam Esmail from Mr. Robot, and it's got Julia Roberts in it. It has oh God, what's that guy? He's in a lot of shit now. He first popped up on Boardwalk Empire, but he's been in a lot of other shit. Anyway, it's about this governmental program that is supposed to help vets with their PTSD, but of course there's something dark and sinister going on. It's a very interesting show that has a lot. It has even more of the weirdness and camera trickery than Mr. Robot has. Season 2 of The Marvelous Miss Maisel, and also getting into The Americans finally. So yeah, most of my TV watching has been on Amazon Prime.
Mandy's been rewatching Homeland. I've been peripherally watching that. Enough to know what's going on.
So she's watched it before, and she's going back for another.
Yes.
Yeah. With as much shows as there are, I can't see doing a rewatch or something. Well, anything.
Today she discovered a show called 90 Day Fiancé.
Yeah.
So
it might interrupt the rewatch.
Yes. But it just, so Damian Lewis, pretty much saw him the gig that got him billions.
Yeah. I don't know how I feel. Damian Lewis is so good that I hated him in Homeland.
Why is that?
And it's kind of like I love to hate him on Billions, and he's good at that character. I guess mostly I couldn't see what Carrie saw in him.
Maybe he's hung.
I didn't understand the attraction.
We never saw his dick.
Right. He looks like Josh Homme without a guitar. What's the deal with this dude? I don't know.
Just got to be pumped for Billions. It's coming back in March.
I think that Homeland is a series that gets much better, actually, in its later seasons. It's first couple of seasons is you're watching wow, I can't believe that they're really going there with the story, and it's kind of fucked up. But once it gets to be more about the bigger story in Homeland is that Carrie, the main character, has problems with depression and sometimes even has like psychotic fits, and believes that part of that side of her is what makes her good as a CIA agent, right? And so it's kind of like the House thing. Yeah. I have never watched the show, but I get that's kind of the thing.
Being an asshole makes him a good doctor.
Right. He may be an asshole, but he's also, that's what allows him to see things that nobody else sees, right? And that's what she is. She's seeing she's making the connections that nobody else is making because her brain is wired a little differently. And I don't know. I'm kind of curious what somebody who actually suffers from those types of mental diseases, disorders, however you want to classify it, actually feels about a show like this, because I don't know. I don't know if there's any reality in there at all, or if that's just basically using that character's possible handicap in an exploitive way. But what's her name on the screen there?
Claire Danes.
Yes. Claire Danes is just always fascinating. There's nothing... It's impossible for her to be in a bad movie because she's good no matter what.
I don't know. She was in Romeo and Juliet.
That's a good-ass movie.
That's a pretty bad movie.
That's a really good-ass movie. That movie manages to rise above all the Baz Luhrmann bullshit and actually have some really great performances in it. John Leguizamo is awesome. Leroy Cappuccino.
Yeah, but I was just saying, it's not. You know how you know it's not a good movie? We don't talk about it. It's not constantly rerun on cable. You don't see it all the time.
There is a rabid fan base for that movie, even more so than there are people who are just fans of Baz Luhrmann.
When it came out, I was 17, 18. I should love that movie.
Fuck out of it. I mean, yeah, it was kind of geared towards.
I saw it once and I was like, I'm good.
Yeah. I don't know. It's
I just don't think time was good to it.
I'd say it holds up. You know, my daughter's watched that movie.
Mm-hmm.
She loves it. I think it's kind of brilliant the way he handled the material, actually, because the movie, a lot of people look at it as like, oh, it's an updated Romeo and Juliet, right? But it's not. He didn't just take Romeo and Juliet and say, how would that play out in the 20th century or 21st century even? It was placing it in like an alternate universe. It was...
Well, yeah, L.A.?
Yeah, it was L.A., but it wasn't really L.A., right? Like, nobody talks like that in L.A.
Yeah, it was, and like the thing, it was the old timey dialogue, but it was the modern day setting,
right? But he mixed it up with everything else too, the language and the weapons that they use. I mean, they used modern guns, well, kind of modern guns. That's the thing. It's not even really like it still existed in its own universe in a timeless way.
Mm-hmm.
That I think, okay.
You sound like you're refuting your own arguments.
No. I'm just going. I'm trying to predict. I'm trying to cut off an argument because I know that this point is going to fall flat on you. It's a lot like Pulp Fiction in that way. That Pulp Fiction has a timeless quality to it. It intentionally mixes up genres and from different time periods in ways to keep you constantly guessing or just give up and say it doesn't even matter. Like, this is its own universe, right? Pulp Fiction takes place in its own universe. It's not trying to be, a certain place at a certain time. This isn't like you're not going to see like at the beginning of the movie L.A. 1990. Like it could have been 70s, could have been 60s, sometimes could have been 80s, could have been 90s, could have been 70s, could have been anything. And that's what Romeo and Juliet does too. I mean,
Napoleon Dynamite does it.
It doesn't just take the story and put it in modern times. It mixes up all those and says, it gives you modern references so that you can, it helps you make sense of the language being used, because so much of that is the original Shakespearean text, right? And it only works. Like Shakespeare doesn't work on paper unless you really know it, unless you really understand it. But when Shakespeare is spoken by a good actor, any audience can understand it if they're knowing the right feeling that should be behind the words, if they're truly understanding the words. And that's part of what the movie does too, with the settings and everything. It's putting it in a modern context so you can understand it without having to like dissect like, oh, these are just people in robes and tiaras and shit, like speaking in some archaic language, you know? Like, we knew what they were talking about from the performances, but also because of the settings that we could relate to. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't mean to go off on a jag for 20 minutes about Romeo and Juliet, but I do really think it's a great... I mean, I think it's the best movie that Baz Luhrmann's certainly done. And why were we talking about Romeo and Juliet anyway? How did we get on that?
Claire Danes.
Claire Danes from Homeland, from TV.
Yeah.
Work my way back.
Yes,
I haven't
from TV.
I haven't been watching as much TV in general, though. Not as much as I thought I would be over the Christmas break. I've been more binge watching either Mystery Science Theater 3000 or Riff Tracks, which
can't blame you there.
And there's such it's so addictive because I now have 3 channels between Pluto TV having both a separate Riff Tracks and MST3K channel that runs 24/7. They repeat a lot of the shows, but you have the 2 to pick from, and plus, even if you've seen it before, like, doesn't matter. I watched Mitchell today for like the 80th time, but I also have I have a Samsung television, and if you have a Samsung TV, there's an included app that is Samsung TV, and it has like Pluto, a lot of channels that you can stream, and they have their own ads with them, which are very limited. That's one of the more annoying things about Pluto is that you're going to see the same ads over and over and over again.
They do with PlayStation View.
Yeah. It doesn't matter. It's not. There's not an excessive amount of ads. There probably are less ads than you would see on your average
if
network
you ever watch Crackle,
show.
Same thing.
Right. So that's fine. But yeah, so I have 3 channels to pick from. Samsung TV has a Riff Tracks channel. So I have 2 Riff Tracks channels and the MST3K channel, plus everything that's on Netflix, the 2 recent seasons, plus some of the classic MST3K stuff, plus all the stuff that I've purchased, which is about a dozen movies that I've paid for from to stream directly from Riff Tracks. So yeah, it's a lot of binging of really bad movies and going to see some rather decent ones in the theater as well. I almost looked at it as a challenge to see every movie that I wanted to see over the holiday.
Like you had a list, you were checking it off.
I did. Well, Mortal Engines, check, and also really good movie. Very, very entertaining, really fun. A whole visualized world of a vision of the future that's just pretty insane and was thoroughly realized. Aquaman, saw that. Saw Into the Spider-Verse. Have yet to see the Bumblebee movie. I proposed it to my kids today, and they're just like, no more. We need a break. Like, yeah, okay. Your break where you stare at a computer screen or a television screen. Right. No, they've been game. My daughter really enjoyed Aquaman. Aquaman, I thought, was a really fun movie. There's nothing wrong with it.
Venom came and went, and I haven't heard
it.
a peep from you. What's up with that?
I still haven't seen it.
It came out, and I've heard it's either... I haven't heard anything in the middle. I've heard either it's awesome or it's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
I haven't heard anyone go, it's all right.
I think from what I can put together on this movie, it's a total piece of shit that manages to be charming despite making 0 sense. So it's stream it when it comes out. It'll be out. It's kind of bizarre that like Sony may have made one of the worst Spider-Man related films of recent history and the best in such close proximity to each other. Like clearly there is no crossover in the teams between the two. Well, I mean, for one thing, Venom I think they were taking a chance on, and there's no Spider-Man in there at all.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know if he's referenced in there. How you get Venom with no Spider-Man influence, I don't know. But that's what they went with. The movie has made a shit ton of money. It's made more than it was
That's
expected
all they care about,
to.
right?
Right. It cost like $70 million to make. It's made over $300 million domestic.
There's been plenty of sequels to piece of shit movies simply because people saw them.
Right. So we are getting a Venom 2.
Yeah.
There's no doubt. And probably Spider-Man's going to be in this one, considering that, people are actually going to go see this, apparently. I don't know.
Into the Spider-Verse, what's that all about? It's just
Into the
getting the
Spider-Verse
Lego movie treatment?
No, it's a completely animated if you haven't seen any previews or anything for it. But it's done in this amazing way that it's really tough to describe. It's almost like a collage because there's all these different versions of Spider-Man coming from alternate universes, all converging in one universe. And in that universe, the main Spider-Man at the time is not Peter Parker, but it's Miles Morales, who is the Spider-Man from the Ultimate Universe. That goes back to like around 2000, I think, is when those comics came out.
Coming here.
But he's like...
taking superheroes' jobs.
He's like the only real Ultimate Universe character that survived the destruction of the Ultimate Universe. And this was... his introduction cinematically, but it also introduced a lot of different versions of Spider-Man, including Spider-Ham and some little Asian girl from the year 3000 as like a robot spider that she rides around in. I knew all of the Spider-Man that they put in this except for that one, Penny Parker.
Spider-Man.
I don't know if she's real or not, or I shouldn't say real. I don't know if she has an origin in the comics like the rest of them do, or if she comes from somewhere else, or if she was just created out of whole cloth. But regardless, I'm kind of dancing around it a little bit because the movie's really hard to describe. I mean, in one way, it is kind of the greatest Spider-Man story because it honors all these different versions of Spider-Man. And it kind of does get the Lego treatment like Batman. Like, the zaniness of the Lego Batman, like the humor didn't really didn't really hit well with me. But what I did like is that it took all these different versions of Batman that we've known over the ages and kind of presented them all in one movie. And that's what they do with Spider-Man. They're like, all these versions are Spider-Man, and they all have that one thing that makes them that exceptional hero. Just because they're different ages, some are male, some are female, different races, they all have that like core thing. And it's not just about getting powers, because like Penny Parker doesn't have powers. She just has her robot. Mm-hmm. And there's a Spider-Man Noir that is excellently voiced by Nicolas Cage, and he's a riot. And I think all his stuff is tech. I don't think he is supposed to have it, or maybe he does have some powers. But anyways, the one thing is like, basically the uncle. Everybody had their own version of the Uncle Ben moment. Somebody that they let down in some way, they feel, and they couldn't save. And so they're trying to save everyone else to make up for it. Kind of the same thing as Batman. Batman can't bring his parents back.
He's just going to kick ass till he dies.
Right. It's an animated film that's like 2 hours and 20 minutes long.
Wow.
Like all these superhero... And it is. It does not drag for a second.
The Weedsman Podcast. ChristopherMedia.net.
XGGA 8353100, spot entitled Leather /Geico/Reason/Motorcycle 30 seconds.
Geico knows there are many reasons why you ride. From the exciting adventure of the daily commute to the peace of mind that Geico always has your back with 24/7 access to claim service and legendary customer service. But Pamela Mund had one reason in particular.
My skin is extremely averse to most fabrics, except for the soft, buttery feeling of leather. Thankfully, I found my clan of leather lovers in the biking community. It's been life-changing.
Geico Motorcycle. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Look in your home. Look in your office. Look in your home office. Everywhere you turn, there's so much smart. At Capella University, we think education should be smart too. Our game-changing FlexPath format puts you in control of your master's degree, so you can learn how, when, and where you want. Smart, huh? Yeah, we think so too. So if you want to take the next step in your career, make Capella your first step. Visit capella.edu to learn more. Capella University. Don't just learn smarter.
15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Is that Shakespeare?
Nope, it's Geico.
Yeah, that's Shakespeare from one of his unpublished works. Oh, it be not for awakening. Nay, giveth thou the berries. For 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Nope, it's from Geico, because they help save people money.
Well, I hate to break it to you, but Geico got it from Shakespeare.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Media.net. The Weedsman Podcast.
Like, Aquaman doesn't really drag, but you're like, okay, I see where we're going here. This is the adventure part, and then, there's going to be the big battle scene and
is any good
the puzzle that they have to figure out.
Because we've gone over this. He's like the gayest of the super friends.
This is...
What's your power? I can ride a seahorse.
The first half hour of Aquaman, I'm watching it going, is it really? Are they really going for this? Like, because it's a lot of him looking over his shoulder and like sneering or smiling or giving some kind of look like Blue Steel.
We get it. You look good with your shirt off.
And then like guitar solos, like a little guitar lick on the soundtrack will like line up with him and his one-liners and all this and his cool attitude. And you're like, wow, this is just like a straight up 80s action movie. Like, I know who this guy is. This guy is like fucking Rambo or what's his name? Jack, the guy from Big Trouble in Little China. The guy who drives the truck. Anyway.
I was thinking Snake Plissken.
Snake.
From the Escape movies.
Right. He's one of those, like, straightforward, I speak with my fist type of guys.
No, he speaks with his fish, sir. This is Aquaman.
I'm sorry. I've overloaded the mic on that one. Yeah. They managed to make him talk to fish, and I didn't roll my eyes. Like, they honestly pull it all off without making an exceptional movie in any respect. I mean, it's
like if they were giving away Super Friends and a Happy Meal, and you got Aquaman, you were like,
well, I mean,
it's free.
If you think
Super Friend,
if
but
you
it's
think
Aquaman.
Aquaman's a shitty superhero, then I don't think this is going to convince you.
It's like when you got the Aquaman and Green Lantern. There's the two you didn't want to get.
I think they both have promise. That it just depends on what the story is. But no, it was good. But it was everything. It was you get through like the first 20 minutes, and that's the setup of the movie, and then it's like turns into Indiana Jones, and then it turns into a little bit of Star Wars and maybe a little bit of Black Panther, like style superhero movie. And, a little bit of Lord of the Rings. And it's just everything. And they throw it all in there. But James Wan, the director, manages to string this all together in a way that the movie doesn't really lag at all. It's longer than Into the Spider-Verse, and it manages to be entertaining for all of that.
It's a 2.5-hour superhero movie.
I mean, don't get your hopes up. Like, this isn't the movie that's going to bring anyone to tears. This isn't Black Panther underwater, But
Wet Panther,
right? I mean, the story is almost the same. He's supposed to be the new king, but because he's considered like not like truly devoted to his country because he's lived on land this whole time, right? And he's half human. That he's being rejected, and his brother like rises to power in his stead, and he has to overthrow him. But like the whole time, he's like, I don't really even want this, If it wasn't for his brother trying to kill a bunch of people in order to be king, Aquaman would not give a shit.
Isn't that Thor?
He has nothing that drives him himself. Thor's a little bit of that, yeah. Thor was like, I'd just be happy to go whoring and quaffle out of beer, right?
And my brother's trying to fuck shit up, kill my dad, so now I got to get involved.
And that's the thing. That's why you need a Loki for Thor. And I guess his Loki was Black Manta, who they did tease, a little bit of spoiler, but they did show that he is lined up for a sequel, if there is indeed a sequel to Aquaman, which I'm guessing there will be. But yeah, out of all those, I wish I could rank Bumblebee in there, because those are the 4 movies that I wanted to see. And I have a feeling that Bumblebee is going to rank somewhere in between, somewhere second or third. I think Into the Spider-Verse had to be the best movie.
So is Mark Wahlberg now, is he left the Transformers franchise? Is it now John Cena?
Yeah, but he's not really he's not replacing the Mark Wahlberg role. Or even it's not really a Mark Wahlberg in this one, I guess.
No, I'm just saying as far as the franchise. Is it now John Cena's franchise? Mark Wahlberg's bye-bye? I
don't think it's going to be his franchise, so that's what I'm saying. He plays he plays the bad guy agent of some sort. But he probably has, good heart, I'm sure. Just following orders. So Into Spider-Verse, Mortal Engine second, Aquaman third, Bumblebee, we'll have to see if it, I doubt it can top Into the Spider-Verse.
Are you going to see the RBG movie?
The Ruth Bader Ginsburg movie?
Yes.
I forgot. Is that coming out soon?
Yeah. What's it called? On the Basis of Sex.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I doubt I'll make it to the theater to see that one. I'm sure it'll be on Netflix.
I've heard it's very predictable and over the top. I want to see Vice.
Vice looks interesting, yeah.
I know. I've learned I like Adam McKay's style of filmmaking, too.
You've seen The Big Short?
Yeah.
Big Short's great, isn't it? I do like that because Adam McKay is he seems like he's not afraid to let the movie be whatever it needs to be at the time, right?
Yes.
It's not like this scene has to be super dramatic, this one needs to be super funny. What's important is that he's getting good performances while he's conveying the right information, and what happens seems to just happen in these ways where he can break the fourth wall and talk directly to the audience in The Big Short. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't seem like it's some effect. You almost feel like, because it's the type of movie where he realizes any average citizen is going to have their hand held throughout this movie, right? Mm-hmm. And you don't want to tell it in this way where if this was all like covert CIA type of espionage stuff, I just go along with it. I watched 007. I'm like, why is he punching the ball guy? Who cares? Like, that's obviously the bad guy. I'm along for the story. But this, you kind of want to know the story.
Yeah.
And you kind of need to walk somebody through this in a way that they can understand it. Mm-hmm. And build an emotional construct around that helps you understand what this means, why it was important, what these people were doing. And ultimately that it's a movie that has a message that's greater than itself. Mm-hmm. It's like, this is what people are doing with your money,
Yeah.
This is ultimately just a bunch of different people's money that they are playing with.
And props to the Christian Bale character for seeing it all coming.
Yeah. I loved his... Was he listening to Metallica? Or was it just generic heavy metal? I forget. Wasn't he listening to some actual Metallica in that?
No, I think it was Pantera.
Was it Pantera? And, all these were all based on real people. But...
Oh, wait.
That's not Christian Bale.
Not at all. No, it's Metallica because this is, I think this is By Demons Be Driven. Yeah.
Right. So these characters are based on real people, but I think Adam McKay understood that he just needed them to be stand-ins for different reasons, right? Like why people do this shit and how they feel about it. Like Christian Bale was completely disconnected from the human side of it and was purely looking at numbers.
Yeah.
What's his name's
That's
character?
What he's paid to do.
Steve Carell's character knew what to do with the information that he received, but had enough of a conscience that he didn't feel right about doing it. You know what doesn't seem to be doing well is the Holmes and Watson movie.
No, word of mouth on it, not good.
Like, really not good. Also, rumor is that Sony had a really bad test screening with it and then tried to sell it to Netflix. And the joke is that, like, it was so bad that even Netflix wouldn't buy it.
Damn.
Because, like, if you called Netflix headquarters, they'd probably just answer with yes. Like, yes, how much money do you need for your production?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, what's your, I don't even know what your story, just yes, here. Make something. It needs to be 14 episodes. That's your contract, right? Whatever it is, I don't care. Just make it 14 episodes. That's what we need.
Is Will Ferrell losing his edge? Because wasn't Anchorman 2 his last attempt at a movie, and wasn't that also a big piece of shit?
Yeah. Well,
I had one friend describe Anchorman 2 to me as like, I don't want to watch it anymore because I don't want to lose respect for the first movie.
Well, what is going on with Will Ferrell? Like, let's look at...
I don't know, the Daddy's Home movies, they were all right. I mean, they weren't...
Yeah.
They're not his greatest work, but they were all right.
But I think he just needs to start being an asshole, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because Jim Carrey made a bunch of really funny, really character-driven, hammy movies that did really well and reached a certain point where he had to start going, no, I'm not going to do the rubber face guy anymore for you. Like, fuck off, I'm not signing your autograph. I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want to do. And he started making movies like Man on the Moon and shit like that. But you have to move on, right? That might have what got you there, but that's not what's going to keep you there. You have to evolve. And I think that, I don't know, I think, what's his name that we were talking about? Ferrell. Will Ferrell, he's kind of had that moment where he's gotten to do some serious stuff, enough to, like, show that he could if he wanted to, but now he's just trying to go back and retread some more.
Maybe his funny's broken.
I don't know. I mean, I'm judging
for
this
movie with him and John C. Reilly to not be good.
It's tough to believe that it's that bad that people are just like, no, avoid that. But then again,
but that's what I heard about Anchorman too. Like,
we're basing this on reviews. We haven't seen the movie.
Yes,
and it could just be that their charm has worn thin with the reviewers themselves, with a certain part of Hollywood that's like, oh, that's so 2008.
Yeah, 2000 and late.
Take a pause on smoking so much pot and talk about it a little bit.
It's fair.
I don't know, we've been talking about movies and such. I think I've been trying to avoid the topic of our podcast because we're kind of in that limbo period. All the news is like wrapping up what happened last year or what people are looking forward to. We've kind of already done our show about that.
Yeah.
We're fully in 2019 now. We are still so it's a lot of numbers. It's a lot of statistics about what the last year looked like, but we are still getting some estimates of what tax dollars look like in different areas where cannabis is legal. Apparently in the first 2 weeks of legalization in Canada, Canadians spent $43 million. Half of those sales being in Ontario,
2 weeks?
In Ontario and Quebec. That's across all of Canada. That doesn't seem like that much.
That's a lot of money. 2 weeks, $43 million.
Well, remember the two in Massachusetts? The only two that got approved, and they did $500,000 in a weekend?
Yeah, that's true.
They have numbers from over the course of 3 weeks in Massachusetts. They brought in $7 million in sales. So, 7 goes into 42 8 times?
6 times.
6 times. Thank you. Like, Canada is way more than 6 times bigger than Boston, no matter how you plot it.
Yeah, but it's population.
Yeah, but by population. Well, I mean, I don't know. I think also you're looking at, because they said half of that in Canada was in Ontario and Quebec, so half of that $43 million. So, what have you, $21.5 million. So it's going to be in the bigger city centers where You're going to get your tourists. You're going to get people who have access to it. Out in the country...
Canada only has 10% of our population.
Well, first of all, if you're out in Canada and you live out in the sticks, out in the tundra, whatever's out there...
For start, that is the sticks.
Well, yeah. But so if you're a weed smoker, you probably have your hookup out there, right?
Yeah, like yourself. You grow it.
Right. You're not going to drive 3 hours into town to go to the weed shop.
You are the weed shop.
So it is kind of skewed in that way where, like, you're looking at numbers across all of Canada versus in one... Well, in Massachusetts, yeah, but Massachusetts is much more concentrated.
California has more people than Canada.
California has more people?
There's 39.5 million people in California.
Well, so...
There's 36.7 million people in Canada.
I don't really know if
Canada's got more land than people.
I don't know if that $43 million was what was expected or if it was low or high.
The Weedsman Podcast. ChristopherMedia.net.
A different future starts with you. That's why GoDaddy does more than help you find a name. You can create, sell, and get found online, so any small business can drive change or build an empire. We need a new generation of thinking. Your way of thinking. Start different at GoDaddy.com. A different future starts with you. That's why GoDaddy does more than help you find a name. You can create, sell, and get found online, so any small business can drive change or build an empire. Because old ideas aren't cutting it anymore. This new year, we need a new generation of thinking. Your way of thinking. So whatever you have in mind that will help make a different future, find everything you need to get started at GoDaddy.com. Because the future isn't decided yet. It's still ours to win. Start different at GoDaddy.com.
ChristopherMedia.net. The Weedsman Podcast.
I know that expectations for the first year of California cannabis legalization are not hitting where people thought they would.
No, and it's because California's being California is the problem from what I've read.
Yeah. Actually, I have a quote here from Dan, I apologize, Gieringer. He is a director for NORML. It was an organization that we're familiar with, NORML. That is what does that stand for again?
The National Organization of the Reformation of Marijuana Laws.
Yes, thank you. He told the LA Times, I think it was, the cannabis industry is being choked by California's penchant for overregulation.
Yes.
It's impossible to solve all the problems without a drastic rewrite of the law, which is not in the cards for the foreseeable future. So he's saying it's all fucked and it's just going to stay fucked.
California loves to regulate things.
Right. As long as you
California's answer to...
Yes. Sorry.
You can't regulate it. It's not worth figuring out. It's not. That's the state's motto.
Right. They legalize it. They regulate the hell out of it. They tax the hell out of it. I mean, that's the 1-2 punch, right? High taxes plus the high regulation, right? I don't think a lot of people account for the cost of holding to those regulations, right? Or sometimes they have their own costs incurred. Like, you have to pay $200 to get your shit certified. You know, that's something that's going on top of the taxes that are being paid for production and sale of gross to the businesses and sale of at retail establishments. All those it's being taxed at every step there. Plus the higher cost of doing business. So you're paying more in taxes and you're paying more to be per code to just operate in California.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, I can see them pulling your license is $200 and you have to renew it every 3 months.
Well, imagine what this is going to look like in the not too distant future when we're going to have the majority of the West Coast is going to have legalized cannabis. We're going to have...
All of it does. From Washington down to California.
Right. But on top of that, we're going to be looking at, possibly this year, we're going to be looking at getting cannabis off of Schedule 1. So as soon as you lift the federal restrictions, now you got cannabis traveling across borders all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
So
I
when
think
you
in the
can,
same story, I saw that
when
Oregon
you can
has,
grow
like,
in Nevada and ship to California, why would you be stationed in California? Why would you grow your shit in California?
Yeah.
At that point, then all you have to do is pay probably some tax for bringing it in and sales tax for it being sold. You don't have to conform to the same ridiculous rate. Or fuck it, go to Texas and have it shipped all the way from Texas. So that's what you're going to be looking at. California is going to be importing more weed than they're actually growing.
I saw a story that Oregon has like 10 times as many dispensaries as California.
Really?
Yeah.
Right, because it's not booming for California because the businesses aren't even opening. Like, if they were opening, I'm sure people would be going to them. And they would be getting the tax dollars that they expected. So that's why there's no indication that the lack of tax dollars incoming into the California government has anything to do with the lack of demand for cannabis. It has everything to do with the lack of demand for people who want to be in the cannabis business in California.
Yeah.
They're not doing it. The people who are serious about it are setting up their businesses outside of this state of California, even if they're not in a completely legal state yet, because they know that they're going to be looking at a future where they can just ship wherever. Yeah. They're going to make concentrates and drinks and tinctures and all this stuff that travels really well. This isn't about, edibles. All this shit that you can make, it'll stay on the shelf for weeks, sometimes months, without changing state in any way or losing any potency. Mm-hmm. This is totally storable, shippable. You don't have to freeze it. You don't have to cook it. You don't have to do anything with it. You can fucking throw a brownie and some tinctures and some concentrates in a FedEx box, ship it across country, across the world, break it open and smoke it and eat it right away. Right?
Yeah.
It is... There's the only thing that's restricting it right now, and that is keeping these businesses having to operate within the parameters of California's strict codes. It's the fact that the federal government, that if they travel outside the borders of California, they're not protected by California anymore. Even if they go into a legal state, right? They can if they took stuff into Nevada or vice versa, even though they're two places where they have recreational legal cannabis, they'll be breaking federal law by doing so. So, good news though, globally, Thailand is, they legalized medical cannabis, but that's pretty big. Thailand is like Indonesia still is. They used to be like really strict about
Thailand one of the places that would
at all.
Go to jail for life for a joint, like that kind of shit.
Yeah, Thailand, that was kind of a shocker for me, although I did find out that cannabis has more of a history with Thailand than I had thought.
Really?
There's a Thai dish that uses cannabis in it. This is the first. Of all the research and all the stories, all the talk that we've been doing about cannabis and talked about different ways you can eat it, this is the first time I've heard of anyone trying to use it as a spice.
Really?
It is, let's see. Well, this was a story in Forbes that prior to its ban, cannabis was used as a spice in Thai boat noodle soup, natively known as kuitar. Kuitareo. I can't. Not only can I not pronounce this, but when I try to, I sound racist. What goes into a kuitareo? Apparently this stuff's been banned, though. We'll just call it Thai boat noodle soup.
This is traditional Thai music? I don't know if I believe you, YouTube.
I don't know that I've ever heard any, so I don't know how to judge. Well, this is definitely a drum machine. That guy looks like he has...
Looks like he's trying to fuck that lady with that guitar.
That's not a guitar, though. What is it?
It's lute type.
Some sort of lute. Thai boat noodle soup. Why is it a boat? Needs some... Well, here's a recipe for it. Some pork shoulder. some stock, some sugar, some salts, some light soy sauce, some dark soy sauce, some peppercorn cilantro. This doesn't call for any cannabis sativa, though. Oh, maybe it goes into the sauce.
Okay, apparently traditional Thai music includes a drum machine.
Well, I can't imagine it's in any significant amount anyway. Like Thai boat, Thai noodle boat, Thai boat noodle. Which order was it in? The noodly Thai boat soup stuff. Can't have... I mean, if it had enough cannabis to get you high, it would taste horrid, right? It would have to. Have you ever eaten just raw leaf cannabis?
Yeah.
Why? What was your...
Probably just to do it.
Get pulled over? A dare? Yeah.
Or just when you have edibles that are made poorly. It tastes like you're eating weed.
Yeah, but that's not like chewing up an actual leaf. It has that taste to it, though. Yeah. Yeah, good edible, you won't taste the cannabis. You won't taste the difference. So yeah, I don't know. Thailand, good on you. Medical program. Indonesia still canes people. Although police seem to like it.
Why is that?
They burn like 700 pounds of this shit. 800 kilograms. Is a kilogram smaller or bigger than a pound? I should know this.
Did you see these stories about these couple businesses in Michigan that are giving away weed?
How are they doing that?
They're technically selling other things and they're gifting marijuana with them.
Oh,
when you
yeah.
buy them.
Oh, they learned from from people in the D.C. area, probably.
Yeah, actually, yeah. This is a Forbes story. It seems a handful of entrepreneurs have identified a loophole in the law that will allow them to capitalize on legal cannabis long before the state gets its act together. It's a master plan that borrows a chapter from the District of Columbia, where marijuana is legal, but there's no retail market available, in which cannabis operations simply gift marijuana to customers who purchase food or other non-pot related merchandise.
It's usually, they do like easy stuff like cookies.
Yeah, a Boston-based online business by the name of On High Road is one of those with plans to strike while the iron is hot.
This is a Boston-based interest, but they're selling in Michigan?
Yep, the company sells adults 21 and older munchie bags full of baked goods and other assorted candies for anywhere between $55 and $120. As an added bonus, customers also receive a complimentary supply of marijuana with every order.
Yeah, but I think that's the thing is you have to have enough items to bury it in there to make it seem like you're burying the cost in there.
Well, owner Brandon Anthony says his company, which is rolling out services in Detroit, keeps law enforcement from swooping in to shut them down by never gifting more weed than what is allowed under the state's possession limit, and his operation doesn't keep a surplus of weed on hand.
What's that limit again?
He says, there is a gifting clause within the law, so we give the cannabis to the customers. Anthony told the Detroit Free Press, under the laws in Michigan, you can gift up to 2.5 ounces. So you're not getting any more than 2.5 ounces off of these guys.
I wonder how much 2.5 O's would cost you. Probably be like you get like a shit ton of candy and treats, and it'd probably be like $500.
Yeah. In Ann Arbor, a business called Smokes Chocolate is doing much of the same. The operation opened its doors early this month, providing customers with chocolate and then tossing in a complimentary stash of weed.
See, with the chocolate, you can do like it's super high end, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like you're charging $28 for a small brick of chocolate, but yeah, it's gourmet, right? They're probably just melting down Nestle's bars in the back, but
right. The business isn't pulling any. I like this. The business isn't pulling any punches when it comes to advertising what it's really about. Its slogan is simply "Buy some chocolate, get some weed." The guy runs the online shop out of his apartment, according to a report from MLive. And it has been lucrative so far. The company was pulling in an average of $600 a day before it was forced to take a temporary hiatus for expansion purposes.
Here's a breaking news headline. Vaping causes stronger high than smoking marijuana.
What?
New study finds. This is why. Never take a story that has the word study or finds in the headline at face value because they almost always immediately heel turn. They do a complete 180 in the first paragraph. This one says, a new study has found that vaping can cause more powerful high than smoking, at least among the small group of infrequent marijuana smokers involved in the study. Right. A small group of infrequent smokers gave you results.
Who did the study?
Published in the Journal of American Medical Association Network Open.
Hey, get at us.
Researchers from the Johns Hopkins Medicine research labs, I'm guessing, involved 17 subjects and an average of 27.
Johns Hopkins, at the Weisman 420 on Twitter, the Weisman Podcast, ChristopherMedia.net, if you like some real test subjects.
Most of them had not used marijuana for almost a year.
Yeah.
Again,
at the Weasel 420, John Hopkins.
Well, we don't even need it because all I'll do is peel away the layers of bullshit. And it starts with, first of all, your study's too small to give any conclusive data.
You had some bullshit ass weed. We saw some stems in there.
And like a puff of something that is concentrated is different than smoking something that is not concentrated, right? Can we understand this? You know? Like sometimes you buy a big jug of soap or something that is concentrated.
Off a joint versus 3 hits off a vaporizer pen, you'll be a lot higher off of the 3 hits off that vaporizer pen.
But if you measure the THC, you probably come out about the same, right? I don't feel like, I mean, maybe it's somewhat more efficient, but like, what?
No, it's higher. No, it's higher in concentrates.
No, that's what I'm saying though. But if you measure the amount of THC that you were intaking, right, you'd be getting the same amount high, right? It might take you, if you took a few puffs off the vape pen, it might take you a whole joint to ingest the same amount of THC. Well, but the results aren't going to be drastically different, though.
I'll just say if you go by a hit analysis,
I understand, but I'm not doing that. I'm saying if you tackle this, the only way that you can scientifically is how much THC is the person intaking, not how many hits are they doing. Yeah. That's like, you can't measure that because it's like saying
the same amount gets you high.
It's like saying how much gas does it take in dollars to get from Detroit area to Kalamazoo, and then measuring it with two drastically different cars, taking a smart car and an SUV and putting them on the road, and then coming up and being like, well, it was cheaper with the smart car. You have no shit. How much more? You have no standard to measure it against. Mm-hmm. Subjects went through 3 8.5-hour sessions. Damn.
Whoa.
In the sessions, they smoked or vaped marijuana at different THC doses. These doses were 0 for the control study, 10 and 25 milligrams.
Man, isn't that some bullshit if you're in the 0 group?
Each session was held a week apart. After smoking or vaping, each participant had their motor skills and cognitive abilities tested. They also filled out questionnaires that asked the subjects about the subject's experience with pleasant and unpleasant effects, sickness, heart racing, anxiety and nervousness, level of relaxation, level of paranoia. If you're allergic to weed, do not take weed. Ask your doctor if weed is right for you. Conclusion, know your dose. Yeah, no shit. I mean, I guess maybe we do need stories like this. But to me, it reads like, studies find that you get drunker quicker off of liquor than you do beer.
No shit.
Right, because liquor is, say it with me, concentrated.
Yes.
So this is the same thing. A joint is like drinking a few beers, right? And doing a couple hits off the vape pen or a concentrate is like doing a couple shots. And you have to know that and know to plan and pace yourself accordingly.
No, if I don't use it, I'll go even blinder.
So, what were we smoking today? It seems like a high THC content.
All right.
Smoking Caius?
Smoking
sweet.
SFV OG, which I believe stands for San Fernando Valley.
Oh, okay.
OG.
And is Caius from the San Fernando Valley? Or, I'm just trying to see the
album's called Welcome to Sky Valley.
Oh, okay.
You see that it would be Pleasant Valley Sunday by the Monkees.
All right, I'm glad you went with Caius.
What is SFGOG? SFGOG by Cali Connection is a sativa-dominant hybrid that is great for patients who need strong pain relief but don't want to be stuck on the couch. As the name indicates, this OG Kush relative originates from California's San Fernando Valley. Although the names are barely distinguishable, SFGOG Kush is actually the Afghani cross child to SFVOG. The flowers will stay fairly small and may not look super impressive.
So they crossbred it and just named it. They put a Kush on the end.
Correct.
They put a little Kush on it. They bam. Kush it.
What it lacks in looks, it makes up for in smell. The pine and lemon earthiness of the SFV exudes. Wait, let's try that again. The pine and lemon earthiness that the SFV exudes can be a bit harsh and bitter if smoked. So the strain is one to save for the vaporizer if consuming directly.
So it's ugly and it smokes like ass.
I know, right? Its indica body effects takes a little longer to feel than the initial head haziness, but once they do, everything will feel fine. It makes you relax, uplifted, euphoric, happy.
It'll all
focused.
feel fine. It's all weed. It all smokes. It all feels fine.
Yes.
That should be at the tagline on every review.
It's good for stress, pain, depression, headaches. It'll make you hungry. And it gives you dry mouth, dry eyes, makes you dizzy, anxious, gives you a headache. And you can get it everywhere.
It doesn't give you a headache. That's not it. It's not giving people headaches.
Well, it's something that could happen.
I don't know why they put that in there. That's people who are prone to headaches if they smoke cannabis. Because in all the strains that I've smoked over my lifetime as a smoker, as I look back, I can't remember having one go, oh, that's the strain that gives me a headache. Stay away from that one.
Yeah, I know, right?
It's never happened.
Never get this one again.
Never.
It made my head hurt.
The only complaints you ever have as a smoker really is the quality of cultivation. Does it have seeds in it? Is it properly dried and trimmed? Those are the beasts. Otherwise, it's like, sure, maybe you get something that's a little lower THC count or a little higher, but it all smokes, so it all gets you high.
Can I set it on fire and put it into my lungs? Count me in.
Do you hear it? Wiggle the thing. Maybe it's... I plugged some headphones into it. That's why.
Oh, there we go.
There you go. You're not going to hear anything if you plug it into a pair of headphones.
Nope.
I mean, not on the podcast, at least.
She said.
So I thought it was coming through like just real quiet, but it was just the headphones over there on the table.
Hey, we're on Spotify now.
We're on Spotify. We do that.
Yes.
We Spotify thing.
Yes.
Spotify our podcast. We Spoticast.
Yes. Well,
what does it mean to be on Spotify?
It took a while.
It's another podcast catcher, right?
Yes, it's another. Right. But it's all the kids use it to listen to their music, and they've integrated podcasts into it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and until recently, they only worked with they didn't work with independent people. They only worked with the big providers, like if you did podcast hosting. But now they work with the little guys. So we're on there. So
it's funny that there was like two different avenues anyway. They're like, well, this one's for music, and this is just for listening to people talk.
Yeah.
Right, but it's
where Spotify
you're distributing audio files, right?
Yeah, and Spotify just went, hey, if you listen to it, just come here.
Yeah, well, that's kind of like the Google Play thing too.
Yeah.
Like they do the podcast and all that shit too, which we're on Google Play, aren't we? Yeah.
Yeah. Android, you can step your game up. You can figure your shit. Problem with Android, there's too many ways.
They need to crown a winner of the podcast wars.
Yeah, Apple. I mean, Apple's been in the game.
Yeah.
That's what they do. But
Apple, it is what it is. As much as their podcast catcher has pluses and minuses.
Yeah. And remember John Hopkins at the Weasel 420. The Weasel Podcast at ChristMedia.net.
Hit us up when you want to
test subjects.
You want to test some experienced smokers.
The weeds men.
Quit hanging out with the amateurs.
Yeah. People haven't smoked for a month. Who are these people?
Over a year, some of them.
Yeah. Your lightweights, your studies. Say hi.
Oh, say hi.
The
you how easy it is to file a claim with Geico. We hired a soap opera star.
Gracious me, my car has storm damage and I've had to file a claim. Could it possibly get worse? Will my claims team leave me for someone else? Someone less intense?
No. Actually, when you file a claim with Geico, you get your own dedicated claims team who promises to stay with you throughout the process.
Oh, I've never known such loyalty. I can't wait for the second season.
Geico. Great service without all the drama.
A different future starts with you. That's why GoDaddy does more than help you find a name. You can create, sell, and get found online so any small business can drive change or build an empire. We need a new generation of thinking. Your way of thinking. Start different at GoDaddy.com.
Weedsman Podcast.
ChristopherMedia.net. ChristopherMedia.net.
If you like this show, please tell a friend. Please make sure to rate and comment on all your favorite Christopher Media shows. Please follow us on Twitter and like and share us on Facebook. You can subscribe to all ChristopherMedia.net shows for free on ChristopherMedia.net. Thank you for listening, and thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net.
Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net.